Good afternoon, friends. This is Sai Krishna speaker. I am currently pursuing post-graduation diploma in general management at XLRI Junction. Today, it's our honor to introduce the distinguished guest, Mr. Rajesh Narayan, a global leader and client partner at LatentView Analytics. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Narayan is widely respected as the strategic leader recognized for driving digital transformation and customer relationship across India, US, and United Kingdoms. With more than 3 decades of expertise spanning in FMCG, media, analytics, consumer for the Fortune 500 companies, he is successfully convinced and executed transformative business solution leveraged AI, ML, and cloud technologies. Beyond his outstanding professional trajectory, Mr. Narayan is an economic graduate holding post-graduation degree in marketing and his alumnus of Harvard Leadership Program. Outside the boardroom, he finds interesting in the motorbike journey, cricket, sharing music with his family. Mr. Rajesh, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure entirely. Thank you very much for calling me over.
So we'll start our questions.
Absolutely.
The first question: how did your academic grounding in economics and marketing influence your approach creatively problem-solving skills in a dynamic business landscape?
Uh, it's a very interesting question, actually. I personally think that my understanding of economics basically helped me understand economies of scale. What it does is it basically tells you that a problem can be solved. There is always a threshold value to which you can spend in terms of solving the problem, because beyond which it is not providing the value that it is being solved for. Marketing gave me the understanding of who is the segment, what am I positioning myself as, what is the target audience that I'm talking to. And therefore, between the two of these things, I could create a lot of value for my client in terms of both understanding what problem are you solving, which client, whether internal or external, that you're solving it for, and largely not the least, what kind of monies are you spending behind solving a particular problem. Because when you're solving a problem, it has to be implementable, executable, it has to be transferable from a monetization perspective, and lastly but not least, it has to be a scalable problem solver. So these are some of the things that I was able to learn from my educational background.
Yes, it's interesting, sir. So can we move into second question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It seems you moved from the FMCG market to the media into data analytics and the digital leadership. How have these transformations enriched your professional outlook?
You look at it as four industries. I look at it as customers. In all of these industries, there is a customer, whether it is the retail customer, whether it is the consumer goods customer, or whether it is the customer who is basically looking at a technology landscape. The needs are different, the wants are different, the solutions are different. And I was always looking at it from the customer perspective, because at the end of the day, we're interacting with people. And the moment you start building a relationship with people, they start looking at you from the lens of comfort. And when they look at you from the lens of comfort, you can actually get into their business to understand how can you participate in a problem solved with them and how can you actually solve a problem for them. So that's how I see it from my lens. I'm looking at customers, and what you're looking at is basically industries.
Yes. So I have one more question on the same.
Yeah.
So continuing the same, what are the key challenges you had faced and during this transformation, and how did you resolve them?
So the first thing that happened was technology started getting more and more deeper, where you would have more transaction level data when it comes to, let's say, an FMCG or a brand level data in between customer and the brand at either the CPG or the retail industry that I've worked with. In media, it would be largely about consumer spends. Instead, the brand is spending so much money on a particular medium. What kind of returns are they expecting out of it? The moment I started getting into solutions for technology, that started taking data into a larger data set, a larger volume of data, and a lot more deeper meaning in terms of insights that you were generating out of this. So what it did was, with every industry, data started getting deeper, data started getting more in volume, and this data started giving larger insights. So my early learning from CPG and retail, in terms of handling larger number of customers, in terms of volumes of customers, volumes of products that got sold in the market across a variety of consumers, could be wholesalers, retailers, that basically gave me the behavioral understanding of data. And I was able to implement that behavioral understanding when I actually moved into problem solving in larger organizations.
Yes, it's a great takeaway. So moving to the next question. Sir, you have come up with 3 decades of experience. So could you please explain and comment on the consulting roles in the age of AI agents where like the data is very critical?
Again, it's quite interesting. Today we are talking about AI actually getting into the solve of a lot of problems. Data ends up being the hero in the entire pack. AI becomes the solve. Solutions become the solve. You're finally solving a problem with AI becoming the catalyst in terms of pulling out the information or insight from data. Data at the end of the day remains the hero. If you don't have good data, you don't have a good solve that's coming out of it. There is an adage that is used in most of our kind of companies. We call it garbage in, garbage out. So if you have bad data, you get bad insights out of it.
Yes.
And what it helps me when I look at my last 30 years, how have I actually taken this entire journey forward in terms of how I'm looking at the current data solve, is when I was in the CPG industry, I was consulting for my distributors in terms of how to stock, what will sell in the market, what kind of promotions can we do in the market to make sure that there is a liquidation that is happening of the volumes of stock that you're holding on to. How can we use brand and product promos that are being given by the CPG companies in the market to get the best value out of it. When I moved out of it and I actually started getting into my advertising world, which is the next lens that I wore, the media is the next lens that I wore. There the question was, okay, you're going to spend, let's say, 100,000 rupees on an ad in, let's say, a brand equity in economics. If that is the case, what is the number of people you will reach out? Therefore, what is the kind of money that you spend per reach, per person? And therefore, what is the conversion ratio that is coming out of that? And what is the kind of money that you're spending in terms of that? So there is also an economy of scale which is there. When I came into consulting today, I'm again continuously consulting to my clients who are either technology clients or clients in the other industry. The consulting today is about problem solving in terms of how am I going to solve your problem in terms of revenue monetization, revenue growth. So at the end of the day, I go back to my first answer. It is people that I've been speaking to. The context of what I was talking, the quantum of what I was talking, the scale of what I was speaking differed with respect to the industry. I was doing consulting when I was in FMCG. I was doing consulting when I was in media or in insurance. And I continue to do consulting when I'm in technology today. Scale has changed. Problem solve has become much larger. The amount of revenue that we make out of these consulting threads today that we take forward is way higher in terms of its revenue as compared to what it was, let's say, back then, because the scale was much bigger, much smaller back then and much bigger right now.
Yes, it's very clear, sir. Like how data is used in AI, marketing, FMCG. Like it's. So moving to the next question, how do you see the relation between the analytics and storytelling involving the competency marketing?
It's a very interesting subject. I've written a paper on this and I put it on LinkedIn.
Oh.
The whole understanding of storytelling is interesting because when you're talking about concepts, if you have a product, you can show the product and you can walk away with it. But when you don't have a product and you're showcasing a concept, there has to be a reason why you're showing the concept, and it starts all the way from the background, the objective, etc. There is a structure to it. And if you do not follow the structure, you're really not showing the client the today or what it will be tomorrow when he or she has gone ahead and agreed to your solve. And I look at it from that perspective that if I don't have a story to tell, my data is not speaking itself.
Yes.
Therefore, there has to be a storyline around my data. There is a head, there is a tail, there is an exploration, there is a finding, there is an insight, there is a recommendation that's coming out of it. And at the end of the day, that recommendation is what I'm going to put into a solution and hand it over to you. So it is at the end of the day a storyline.
Yeah, it's very balanced and interesting answer. So, coming to the part of international delivery and cross-cultural dynamics, when navigating to the cross-cultural teams, what communication or leadership practices do you believe most of the members need to take?
I'll answer this question in two parts. First being your question on cross-cultural teams
Yes.
and how is it basically helping me in, let's say, an international role today. At the end of the day, when I'm talking about people, everybody has a certain outlook. It could be growth as an outlook, it could be earning money as an outlook, it could be a global exposure as an outlook, or it could be understanding cross cultures as an exposure. So these are some of the objectives that people have with respect to what everybody wants to grow in their career, immaterial of where you come from. Everybody wants to make more money, get more exposure, international exposure, etc. When you're working in a cross-cultural team, I try to bring the best out of everybody, which means giving a chance to everybody, making sure that people understand what we are trying to solve. There are never tasks which are given to people without a proper explanation of why are we doing this task. Why is it important? When I tell you why you are doing something, you have double interest in doing that. If I ask you to just do something, you will probably do it 3-4 times because I told you, another 4 times because you're getting salary. After that, it will stop there.
Yes.
But if I tell you why I want you to do it, you will continue to keep doing it even beyond the salary, beyond the interest. Reason being, you now know you're solving a problem. That is how I solved the cross-cultural part of it, because I looked at them as humans. I did not look at them as people from A culture or B culture. Second thing, how did I actually take it to the international level? When you take people out there to clients abroad and things like those, the client is paying you a certain dollar price for that particular person. He or she is not looking at whether this person is a South Indian or a North Indian from that cultural divide perspective.
Yes.
However, that is exactly what you need to make your team understand in terms of their ability to talk, their ability to present themselves, the articulation. So there is a certain amount of time that needs to get invested on each of these people. There are two kinds of trainings that we talk about. One is the social training, which is your ability to have an interpersonal skill with somebody, ability to empathize with people, ability to have a conversation with somebody, etc. The second is the technical training, which is also functional in nature because you're working in a particular function, you're trying to solve a technical problem for somebody. When you put these two trainings in perspective, especially with respect to the end objective, that is where the magic happens. And when you put the cross-cultural understanding of people and you put the training together, you're actually talking about a win-win strategy. And that's what I deploy at my workplace.
Yeah, I love your strategy, sir. Delegating the work to the people. And coming to the next question, it's related to the human side. Could you please shed some light on approaching developing the high performance team and nurturing the future leaders?
There was an interesting question that was asked in the morning today, and that question was about how we are getting the best out of cross-generational teams.
Yes.
I think the best way to motivate somebody to do a particular job is to tell them what is at stake. The moment you talk about what is at stake as an organization, as a team member, it begins with treating everybody as one in the team. You may have different roles that you perform, but me and probably the person who is the youngest in the team pretty much are both members of the same team. There is no concept of I am boss, you're thing. We are dividing the activity that we have, as we call tasks or responsibilities within the team. We divide it in the form that I'm going to give you what is best suited for your area of study, your area of expertise. Therefore, you bring in the best out of that. And when we put together people who perform best together, we are actually putting spokes of a wheel together, which runs together. So basically, you divide objectives within the team into hubs or spokes for that matter, and connect all of them to the hub, and you have a well-oiled machine there. And this is something I do. I try to understand what is a person's strength, and I give that person what a task to do that is basically focusing on the strength of that person. The other thing that is very important is I don't make the mistake of asking a fish on its ability to climb the tree.
Yeah. It's a combination of both HRM and people's management.
Yeah. Well, you can say that.
So, sir, we'll move on to the rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
So, just give in a short answer type of answer. So, the first question is, as a business or a tech leader, whose vision inspires you the most?
I've always been inspired by something I heard the Australian cricket captain Steve Waugh say. He said, "The player in me encourages the captain in me, and the captain in me inspires the player in me."
Yeah. So, moving to the second question, what is the one piece of technology that you can't live without?
What is the one piece of technology I cannot live without? I think it's come to a point where I agree it's the mobile phone.
Yeah, right. A leadership book, everyone in the analytics must read.
There is this book on management by Al Ries and Jack Trout. It's called The Guerrilla Warfare. That book to me is one of the best books to read when you're actually in a project where you have large competitors or large competitors which are basically you're working with, and you figure out which are your strategies that will win against those larger strategies.
Your favorite global city you work with and want to work?
For the amount of mind it provides, Bangalore.
Okay. Describe your leadership style in one word.
Hire for attitude and train for skill.
Great. A trend in AI you feel still misunderstood.
A trend in AI that is still misunderstood.
Yes.
I would typically say AI as a whole. We are using it in parts. We are using it as micro solves. We are not using it at enterprise grade at this level. I think that is one misconception, that AI cannot handle it, and I don't know whether what AI gives me as a response is true or false. How do I trust AI? I think that's a misconception, because AI is telling you what you're feeding it. So it's not gonna. If I show you an orange and continuously keep training your mind to say it's an apple, it'll say it's an apple.
Yes.
So AI at the end of the day is as good as you train it.
So the final rapid fire question: a single factor you believe will shape the analytic industry over the next decade?
The answer is again AI. Generative AI, for that matter, is going to be the next big thing. And I recently read somewhere that generative AI is going to bring in more millionaires to this planet than the entire internet boom has done.
So it's a great privilege to exploring your leadership journey, digital transformation acumen, and forward-looking to insights. Before we conclude, I would like to ask a final question. What is the final message you would like to share to the aspiring leaders and entrepreneurs listening to it today?
Very good question. Something I've believed in individually as a person. Don't shy away from getting your hands dirty. You cannot lead enough by example. And the more you lead by example, the more people are going to just continuously follow you, for that very reason, that you don't just speak about something, you actually go believe it and practice it on yourself. So that is one final thing that I want to leave you guys with. You want to grow in your life, get your hands dirty.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for listening. It's a great offer for me. Thank you.
This was my entire pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.